And just like that, welcome to Tuesday Night, Loud and Nerdy. I'm glad you could join us. My name is JW Colwell. I'm joined, as always, by Kyle. Is the story over? Really? Just one story's over. We're going to begin two new ones now. And Jerry, the Slapjaw guy. Jerry Kamora, how you boys doing on this fine Tuesday night in April?
Doing okay.
We're in the weird,
good.
like, we got a couple weeks before the hockey playoffs start. So, like, for sports fans, it's a shitty time of year because baseball's boring. And, the NCAA tournament's over. WrestleMania's over. The draft isn't for 2 weeks. Hockey doesn't start for 2 weeks. Hockey playoffs and NBA playoffs don't start for 2 weeks. It's like, I don't know. It's a terrible part of the calendar year if you're a male who likes sports, in my opinion, because baseball.
I love this time of year for hockey.
Well, hockey, yes.
You got teams jockeying for position. Oh my God, it's wonderful. We got a ton of comments already. Let's get to those. And my question for everyone in the comment section there is: the Star Wars font really nerdy enough for this show?
What Star Wars font?
On our opening video, don't you pay attention?
No, I don't really.
Oh man,
Star Wars is
there's the whole show.
really nerdy. Joe Ridley, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening,
He's
Joe.
right. You're right, Kyle. You're right.
No, he's not.
He
Vicky
is.
Wadsworth Alfonso, good evening. Good evening, Vicky. Ken, good evening, friends. Thank you for joining us, Ken. Hello, Jamie Hill. I do want to talk to you at some point because I know you were in last year's horror hit Skinamarink. I was wondering if you know anything about the book that apparently the movie is based on, or book, like a concept that the book is based on, called House of Leaves, that I'm reading. It's this wild book of contemporary fiction that's very, very Skinamarink in every conceivable. Raven says, "Hello, boy. Hey, boys, I'm back." Well, thank God you're
Hello.
only 2 weeks, late from coming to visit us. And then she wrote, "Laugh my ass off." Nah, it should be in Dothraki. Okay. And then, Sean said, "Hey, bro." We have some weird comments every once in a while. Hey, brothers. Excellent. So that's one thing. I'm reading a book called House of Leaves. It's really interesting. It's dark. It has a little bit going about it because it's about a guy who talks about a movie that was never made. So it has Jerry. I know Jerry will know this. There is a movie called Masters of Horror, and there is a short film starring what's his puss from The Walking Dead.
Reedus?
Norman Reedus. Yes. Thank you. I just needed a little bit. And also, he was a familiar in Blade 2, if you're paying attention. Anyway, it's called Cigarette Burns, which is a fantastic episode of television. It's about anybody who sees this movie goes absolutely bona fide, Lovecraftian, Cthulhian, insane. And that's a little bit.
So it's a guy.
I think that was an Argento one, wasn't
about
it?
A book. It's a guy that's a book about a movie that was never made, but he's seen it. Are you sure it's not your inner monologue, JW?
No, because I've seen the movies. So it's
Really?
definitely not my inner monologue.
You think you have?
Carpenter.
Are you sure that movie wasn't a fever dream?
It's a John Carpenter episode.
Yeah, Carpenter directed it. It's a great episode. Basically, they try to find the movie, and he's tasked with hunting it down, and like a bounty hunter, kind of a pop culture bounty hunter kind of thing. It's super cool.
I think I'm the nerdy guy. I think I'm the loud guy.
You're not the nerdy guy. You don't even fucking watch cool shit.
I don't even do homework.
Well, it's not. Let's say nerdy guys don't do homework.
I'm just
loud
a
guys
jerk.
don't do homework.
I must be the sim then.
No, I think you're nerdy. Look at your room.
Loud, nerdy,
and maybe we should change the show to Loud and Nerdy Squared. Just put a little 2 on the title. I out-nerd the nerdy guys. No, I wouldn't do Dothraki. Dothraki is too guttural. Klingon. something important. Maybe Huddies. I like Huddies. I like a good job
What's
of the
more
Hut.
mainstream now, Darth Rocky or Klingon?
Well, that's a weird question, but I would say Star Trek is more popular than Game of Thrones overall. I mean, it's one of the 5. We were talking about this last night. Bond is one of the top 5 franchises of all time. Star Wars, Star Trek, franchises that are, in it for numerous incarnations. Star Trek has to, Game of Thrones is only on its second spin-off show. Maybe when it Star Trek has Next Generation that went for 7 seasons. First generation went for 3. Next Generation went for 7. Deep Space Nine went for 6. Picard went for 3. Discovery's gone for 5.
I was going to say which one had better viewership, but then when you throw the Star Trek movies in, it blows it away. But,
yeah, it absolutely crushes it. Although,
yeah, with the movies, but
you don't think
you go like original Star Trek?
I'm going to throw this out there. I love you to death, but you're going to throw out. Let's talk about Sunday nights on HBO, where you've already cut down on the viewership, versus Star Trek: The Next Generation was on every Saturday at 6:00 around the nation.
I agree with that, but
Star Trek was
thinking like the originals.
The originals.
The original series for both going head to head, which one had better viewership? And then if you break it down by spin-offs after that,
Well, I think Trek wins just on spin-offs. And then not only then you get the movies on top of it. So it's you had 10 movies in that franchise, and then you had 3 movies in a reboot of the franchise. So and they were all hits. They were all not all of the Star Trek movies were hits, obviously, but all of the new franchise reboot were all hits. The Pine Star Trek was all a hit. So I don't think it's even close. Star Wars actually is an interesting combination against Game of Thrones. Also, Star Wars also has the movies to back it up, but Star Wars also right now, show-wise, Mandalorian, Andor, Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan.
But I think Game of Thrones is a demographic that neither one of those movies, until you get to the Mandalorian,
right? I mean, it's sci-fi,
Grogu
versus
and touch.
Sci-fi versus fantasy. I don't know that I think Game of Thrones is probably number 1 fantasy, right? Franchise, but I don't know that it's as remarkable a franchise. Like Bond is 25 films in with 7 different actors, and all of them well over $6 billion in gross box office. We were talking about the numbers last night. Goldfinger, just as a concept, in 1964, Goldfinger grossed $129 million. To put that in perspective, we have a Godzilla Kong movie that's out right now that's grossed $124 million.
He had to throw that in there, didn't he?
Godzilla's a bigger franchise than Game of Thrones.
Godzilla is Can I tell you first off, my little nephew Caleb he's becoming a Godzilla junkie, and we hit Max today, and Max has a wide swath of old Godzilla films. And I'm talking there's a crab movie that we're gonna have to watch. I'm gonna have to watch a crab Edinburgh, the sea deep monster. I was looking at it going, I think I'm stuck for all these. He wants to see all of them. We watched,
and he should.
Yes, because he's a 6-year-old boy who just wants all the intricacies. Although I will tell you, it's getting a little weird on the internet. He was showing me because in the latest movie, it's Godzilla is king of the monsters and Mothra is queen of the monsters, and there's a whole subset of things where Godzilla and Mothra are hooking up that are just weird.
I love those fire-breathing donkeys. Oh, wait, that was Shrek.
You got to watch what part of the internet you're visiting there, buddy.
Well, it wasn't that. I skipped through it, but it was like, it was just, Mothra was very female. And he asked me if Mothra was
how female was she?
And I'm like, the pictures were astounding. But yeah, I mean,
he destroys cities a lot faster one time every month.
I was thinking about that. Today also because Variety did put up the 30 highest grossing movies of all time, and the four of us went through the list, and my answer is it's the top 30 movies. So Avatar grossed $2.9 billion. Avengers Endgame is at 2.7 billion. Way of Water is at 2.3. So that franchise, the Avatar franchise, is over $5 billion in two movies.
I don't get it.
I don't fucking get it at all.
I don't get it. I mean, the effects were good, but it's like the story, the plot of the first one it's been rehashed a million times.
Wait, there's some fighting. Hold
on.
I
liked it better when were called the Smurfs.
Doctor Who is better than Trek, laugh out loud. Maybe. But Doctor Who has never made it into film. So
Tom Baker was the best Doctor Who, just saying.
I'll go Smith. But I understand. Well, Kyle with a good point. Well, there's an interesting thing. That explains the weather report I saw about hell freezing over. Raven just gave you a compliment.
That Eclipse did something here.
Yeah. Maybe it's Raven's doppelganger.
Go put the welder's mask back on, Jerry.
No, Lord of the Rings is bigger than Game of Thrones. Is it, though? I mean, they did well. But we're still waiting for the 5th Game of Thrones book.
But the Hobbit movie was only half of what the other movies were.
Wow, you're on fire tonight.
That's true.
Good points and bad jokes. Maybe you are the nerdy. Maybe you're not just loud. Ooh, parental controls needed. Laugh out loud. No, it wasn't. It wasn't filthy. It was just he just asked the question like, are they really like boyfriend and girlfriend? I'm like, I don't think so. Because Godzilla just lays eggs. Anyway, I don't know. Love you guys. Love you, Misty. Who saw the first omelet?
Can you imagine a Godzilla omelet?
Just Jesus Christ. Misty Defina, who saw the first Omen this week? And the answer to that is nobody. Nobody saw the first Omen this week. Except you.
She did.
I know. I understand.
Well, not this week, but I saw it back in the 70s.
I've seen the real Omen, and then I saw a really bad reboot Omen, and I also saw Damien Omen Part 2, and I also saw Final Conflict, which I enjoy, although it, not for everybody.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, box office. Before we get into the top 30, box office, Kong continues to dominate. Kong Godzilla, 31 million in its second week, down 60%, but nobody gives a shit because it's grossed so much money and nobody cares, and it's killing all over the world. Monkey Man did surprisingly well, 10 million, and it's gonna end up becoming a spring hit because word of mouth on that movie is huge. Also, Dev Patel and Poole are going to be working together. So, Jordan Peele, I should say, not Poole. Jordan Peele. But First Omen kind of bombed, and it deserved about it didn't look good to me in any way, shape, or form. The trailers were messy at best, and they didn't look scary at all. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. But top 30, I've seen all 30 of the highest grossing films. I feel part of it. Can I try to guess the 6 and the 5 that you haven't seen? So Kyle had 25 and Jerry had 24. I'm trying to look at what.
Well, you already know what some of mine were.
Yeah, you're the Too Fast and the Furious, obviously. I'm gonna say you didn't see Jerry. I'm gonna say you didn't see the live action Lion King. Would I be correct?
That's true.
I'm gonna say you didn't see. Whoa, I don't know. Because you'll be a little girl. You probably did see the Frozens. You haven't seen Barbie.
I didn't see Frozen 2.
Didn't see Frozen 2. That's what I was gonna say.
I saw Frozen 1.
Not Barbie. No Barbie.
No Barbie.
No Mario Brothers. Or did you see it? Okay, so I got your 6. I feel pretty good about your 6. Because there's 2 Fast and Furious movies and just ridiculous spots on the list.
God only knows why they're on the list.
Well, I mean,
that movie came out in 1959, I think, The Fast and the Furious. Didn't it?
Is Minions the last one for you? Did you not see Minions?
Oh, I saw it.
Aquaman, maybe?
I saw those. All the superhero ones I saw.
Yeah, I mean,
I remember what was on the list.
It's a really good list, and then you start getting into the amount of money these movies made, and you're just like, that's a lot of fucking scratch. You know, representation from Star Wars, representation from
the Harry Potter #2.
Harry Potter, that's the one. Yeah.
Deathly Hallows Part 7. Deathly Hallows Part 2. So it's Part 7, Part 2. Only $1.3 billion for that one. Get your act together, Potter. Get your shit together.
That makes me laugh as much as the fucking Powerball drawing this weekend, where it was like 1.2 billion, and everyone's got to play. Now that it's set down to only $20 million, everyone's like, "Ah, wait, 20 million is not enough."
Yeah, right.
Oh fuck.
So we do have a guest tonight. I'm super excited. My co-host from Generation Movie will be joining us because he's a big part of the NEPA Film Festival coming up this week. We're going to talk to him in a couple minutes. Also, the hot trailer of the week. I'm a huge fan of X and Pearl. I'm a huge fan of X and Pearl. And the Maxine trailer dropped, and it looks fucking crazy. It looks very
X and Pearl. Where can that be seen?
The trailer for X and Pearl? YouTube. Or X and Pearl. I think they're on Netflix right now. Both of them are not on Netflix.
Okay.
X definitely on Netflix. Pearl definitely on Netflix. Have you seen them or no?
That's one thing I want to start making that. No, I just want to start making it clear though for people so they know if they got to go to the movies to see whatever we're talking about or if it's streaming. Because we drop a lot of titles and everyone's like, "Where do I see it?"
X and Pearl are on Netflix right now, I think. And Maxine is coming out this summer. It's Ty West. It's Mia Goth. It's a great little franchise, Jerry. I think it's one of the more underrated horror franchises. Just in it's got audacity to it. You know what I mean? Like, it has a character in the second movie giving a 10-minute monologue that's as bone-chilling as you will ever get on screen. And, you know, this new one takes place in the 80s film industry where she's a porn person trying to break into the business, which, if you know anything about Hollywood history, was really, really difficult. Porn stars had a notoriously difficult time trying to break into movies, and they ended up only breaking into, like, promo movies or, you know, whatever kind of movies. And it was a very tough road to hoe, and most of the time they never ever made it.
Oh, there was a fun.
Tracy Lords, she had to be in cheesy movies too.
Tough road to hoe. Oh yeah, well, I'm just pulling a Kyle. Maxine looks fantastic. X and Pearl on Netflix. They are fantastic. They're great little movies. They're amazingly well made. They're very specific about what they are. X takes place in the 70s Texas, so it has a Chainsaw Massacre vibe to it that, you know, nothing ever can top the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's got a great vibe to it. Pearl takes place in turn of the century America, like in the 1920s, and you find out that it's the character that was in, you know, was the old person that was running the house in the original, and she was a homicidal maniac from the get-go, really. So, you know, had a tough German mom.
I still think the dad should have won an award for that. Her dad and Pearl.
That's a great performance.
Just for playing that part. Like, that dude, he knew how to look like he was in fear without saying a word.
Yeah, it's a great performance. It's It's a really unique movie, and Maxine looks really interesting. It's got, do you know what movie I thought immediately about when I saw the trailer? Because it's got weird shit going on in Hollywood, and it's just got like, it reminds me a little bit of Body Double and Blowout. You know, like they look very similar. Body Double's a great movie, Brian De Palma. But it reminds me a little bit of that, and also you just don't know what the fuck's going on. Is she murdering people? Is she the Night Stalker? I don't know. Or is it the real Night Stalker? That could be a fucking monkey in the wrench. But the top 30 movies, interesting. Like, Kyle, are your movies that you didn't see all like kids' movies? Are they all like Frozen 2, Frozen? Are they all the kids' movies? Because you had 5 that you didn't see. And I really couldn't pinpoint your...
Twilight Zone, was that on the list?
Yeah, Twilight Zone episodes are on the list. It's weird. They gross like $1 billion. I
saw Avatar 1, had no interest in Avatar 2. Bond, I've watched a couple, but that wasn't one of them. So,
you haven't watched Skyfall?
Skyfall was okay. I didn't mind that movie.
Skyfall's pretty great. Skyfall has one of the most uncomfortable heterosexual male moments in a Bond film ever, because
live action Lion King I didn't see. Live action
Beauty and the Beast.
The live action Beauty and the Beast. I'm sure I've watched it through osmosis with the wife watching it after I fell asleep, but I know it has Emma Watson in it, but that's about it. That's 4 of them.
The live action Lion King bugged me. It's not a great movie. There's no way it should have grossed that much. Beauty and the Beast is pretty good. Live action Beauty and the Beast is pretty good, but live action Lion King bugged me because live action Lion King bugged me because Can You Feel the Love Tonight was shot in a completely sun-baked scene, and I was just like, in the original movie, it's definitely at night. The whole point of the song is "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?" It's nighttime.
That's in that Godzilla Mothra movie you were watching.
Yeah. Fair enough. What else? What other stories? Fallout premieres this week, and Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime. It's based on the hit action game. It will premiere all 8 of its episodes on April 10th at 6 p.m., so you don't have to worry. 6 p.m. Pacific, so it's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern. So tomorrow you can binge all the future horrificness you can muster on Amazon.
Frozen 2 was the last one.
That's what I was thinking. I thought, I go because the boys...
the first one, but
I think the Frozen movies are pretty good, actually. They're solid.
You like musicals, though.
I do like musicals. That is true. Yeah. I do not mind musicals. Somebody else likes musicals. I'm happy to bring him on. He's got something to promote, and it's in northeastern Pennsylvania this week. So right up your highway, boys.
I've heard of this Northeast PA.
I've heard of this Northeast PA. It scares me. Ladies and gentlemen, from Film Buff Online, Generation Movie, and so many other things, my good friend and co-host, Rich Dries.
Hey, how's it going?
So we got done with the
funny story.
Go ahead.
Funny story. The first shirts that JW ever had made for Sweet Translucent Dreams had NEPA or NEPA or Rocky Horror and NEPA on the chest of it. And I was in New York one time wearing that shirt, and some lady looked at me and goes, "Nepa, is that one of the islands in the Atlantic?"
Sure.
It might as well be. Like, it sometimes it's so far away from everywhere, and yet so far. So you're part of this Northeastern Pennsylvania Film Festival that's occurring this week, correct?
Yeah, I've got I've got 2 films running. The big one that we're very excited about is the premiere of a short that I had written a while back that we couldn't shoot because of COVID, because we needed several people in the same place. It's called This Way to the Egress, and just to give you a taste of it, it's about a paperwork screw up in one of Hell's waiting rooms. And,
I have the poster. I'm going to put the poster up for everybody to see it. So essentially,
it's a
everybody hates it. But this way to the egress. So essentially, you all know P.T. Barnum's
Yes,
history.
there is, Raven.
There's a really great band named that, This Way to the Egress.
Yes, well,
yeah, they're
both
Pennsylvania.
Well, and it's not copyrighted or anything. Also, This Way to the Egress, one of the great P.T. Barnum stories was Barnum, I guess, when he had like the circus, basically put up a sign and he charged 10 cents for everybody to get in. It was come see the egress, and people would walk through a line and eventually write out a fucking tent and back into the crowd, because an egress is an exit. And so he basically was a showman. So
yeah, the play, if I want to get pretentious about it, I could say that this short is kind of like a darkly comedic answer to Jean-Paul Sartre's play No Exit, because it's both kind of dealing with the afterlife and people coming to grips with things and discussing the ideas of the afterlife, but we try to do it in a silly, comical way, hopefully. And
there's something
we do it in 12 minutes.
We got Sartre mentioned on the show. We got Sartre mentioned on the show.
I know.
We're doomed.
So, with all this, where is it showing though? What venue is that one showing?
The Northeastern Pennsylvania Film Festival this Saturday, in their comedy shorts block, which starts at 5:00 and runs.
Where is that at?
7. That is at the up in Waverly at the Com building there, the community Waverly Community House or whatever it's called. You can find it fairly easily by Googling Northeastern Pennsylvania Film Festival. And if you're a little more south in the Lehigh Valley area or outside of Philadelphia and you'd like to see it, drive up to Allentown, because we're in the Allentown Film Festival on Sunday. That's at the 19th Street Theater in Allentown, in the 2:30 block of shorts entitled Surreal Shorts. I think it's $10 ticket no matter which festival you go to for that. Come on out. There will be Q&As with myself and other filmmakers afterwards. For the comedy block on Saturday, I've seen 2 other of the shorts that are there in other festivals, and they're really good. One I think I told you about, JW, Meats and Cheeses.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. I am so excited to see that one again, actually. It's a great one. The other one is also really fun. It's a fun concept that they have going. So just based on that, I would say it's worth the drive.
Is the NEPA Film Festival an all-day thing on Saturday, or is it just...
It's an all-day Saturday and Sunday thing. There's a filmmakers reception Friday night, and then it's a lot of locally produced films, some documentaries, 1 or 2 features from around the world that they've also sprinkled in. It's a little low, it's a low key. It's not like the Tribeca Film Festival or the New York Film Festival or something like that, or Cannes, heaven forbid. But it's a great time to get together, for all the local and regional filmmakers, who have stuff there. They usually all attend. It's a great way to, connect with folks, network a little bit. I've met some.
You should hire Raven as an intern.
There you go. Exactly.
Well,
I need somebody to work behind the scenes.
If you go to Facebook and look for Cineberus Productions, CINEBERUS, or on Instagram, you can always get all the updates on what we're doing.
You said 2, so is it Egress Saturday and Sunday, or is it Egress and...
Oh, it's Egress on both Saturday and Sunday. Also on Saturday, though, we have a short, 58-second film called Last
Wait,
Stand.
There's more!
Yes. Yeah, but wait, there's more.
Exactly.
Free Mark McGuire rookie card!
every year at the Northeast PA Film Festival, they do a thing called the Mystery Box Challenge, where they give you a certain set of items and strictures, and you have to go off and make a short film adhering to those things. You might get like a line of dialogue or a prop or two, a character name. This year, it was like they gave us a list, and then the last thing was you have to tell your story in under a minute. Your short can't go over 60 seconds long. So we kind of pulled something together.
What is it? Is it a genre? Did you have to pick a genre to do?
No, there was no genre requirement this time around.
Did you pick a cool genre? Like, I was thinking, with under a minute, you have to do something like Hitchcock. I remember. Did you ever hear the old Hitchcock story where somebody asked him a stupid question like, "How do you make your movie so suspenseful?" Or like, "What's a way you do that?" He goes, "Well," he's like, he goes, "Anything can be suspenseful." And she's like, "What do you thought?" The reporter's like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, I can make a table at a restaurant suspenseful." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "All I do is show you a bomb underneath, and it's ticking, and it's suspenseful. There's not like, you know what I mean? Like, you can create
a sudden boom is not suspenseful. A ticking time bomb is." Yes,
yes, a sudden boom doesn't mean shit.
We kind of did something. It was just an experimental idea that I had, like going all the way back to college, where we kind of tell like a short story, focusing on people's hands, and in this case, it's a cocaine-fueled card game that goes wrong.
Okay, that's about as independent film as you can get.
It was a little bit more. It was a little bit more experimental.
So
and also
rounders with cocaine.
It was also a learning process. But the thing is, the Mystery Box Challenge films are being screened at the same time the Comedy Shorts block is. So,
well, that sucks.
I'm actually going to be running back and forth between the two rooms in the com to do Q&As for both of them, I think.
Jesus Christ! Like,
hey,
they're gonna kill you with this. This is a lot.
There are far worse problems to have than I've got 2 films in a film festival. Okay.
Yeah, don't run. Just walk or saunter or Moses. Okay, I need you.
I mean, it is only about 20.
On Monday nights.
It's only like 20 yards.
So I'd be remiss to ask, Rich, have you seen any movies that you can't talk about, but have seen and you wanna drop that you're like, oh, I saw this. It's pretty great. I know you told me last night on the show. We watched Goldfinger. Rich gave up going to see Civil War, and I felt bad immediately after he said it. I'm like, oh.
No. I mean, usually our screenings for Philadelphia Film Critics, that are put up, generally aren't during.
They're usually on Wednesdays.
There's usually Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm going to one tomorrow for a movie that's opening next Friday. So,
what movie are you going to, Rich?
I think I can say it. The new Guy Ritchie.
Gentlemanly Warfare. Yeah. I don't think they're going to be mad at you for that.
Meanwhile, CinemaCon's going on right now.
Yeah, some big news, some Superman news just dropped. I'm super excited. I think that's going to be one of the documentaries of the year.
They just dropped the first full teaser trailer for Joker Folie de Jeu.
Yeah, that was 6 minutes ago. I got to tell you, talking to the
I was watching it while you were like doing my intro, so I had to like grab my thing.
I'm going to be honest with you. Talking with you four is better for me. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I did not enjoy the first Joker movie. I came out of the first Joker movie and I couldn't believe how many people came out of it going, I love this movie. I'm like, really? Because I wanted to open a vein. Like, that movie made me brought me so down. Like, I know it was great, and performance was good, and all that other stuff, but
there was one shot. I've only watched like the first half of the trailer. I've watched like 35 seconds of this thing. There's one shot that I'm like, are they quoting Jacques Demy's The Umbrellas of Cherbourg? And if they are, so that's I
just want to say, I invite you on the nerd show, and you drop Sartre and the Umbrellas of Cherbourg in the same interview, I might have to kick you out now. Like we don't talk about things like that. But yeah, I watched the teaser for the trailer today was on the Joker Twitter page or Facebook page or whatever, and it was just fucking Joaquin Phoenix crying in a psychiatric ward with rain coming down on him, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't fucking know.
To hint at what they show in well, at least in the
but
first half.
Rich, I just don't know. I feel like I don't know. It's my least favorite version of the character, and that says a lot. It's like fourth on the list for the character. You know, like
he
Mark
starts
Hamill.
doing stuff from prison. That's law-abiding citizen. Just saying.
Yes, he's being kind. Some comments. Let's see. Why are we doing free Derek Carr rookie card? Rounders didn't need Coke. Was obviously written on Coke. Laughed out loud. I was gonna say his movie is like Rounders with cocaine instead of Oreos, because we know how important Oreos are.
And Ken McCarran is moving into
posted joke.
Take the internship.
Yeah, Ken and Raven are going to war. Posted the Joker 2 trailer already in the group.
Right on, man.
I do like that I don't have to do anything.
Ken knows his stuff, man. He does.
Yeah, Ken does know stuff. Okay, I didn't hate it that much, but heck, Jade, I'm on your team. It's just one of those movies where you've been to a movie, Rich, where other people enjoy it, and you just sit back and you go, I don't understand. Like, and it's not like I don't understand in an Avatar way, which is that movie's got so much against the walls that it's made for everybody to fall in love with it in some way. So I don't know.
That's perfectly honest. Acceptable. People often have. There's movies I'm sure I have. I'm just like, go with God. Honestly, here, get ready to get mad at me. Top Gun, don't care. I look at them. I'm like, well crafted. Do not care. Do not care about these characters.
Second one was pretty good though. The first one, again, not the best movie of 1986, but the second one ended up being much better than the first. Like, I thought the second one actually
well made.
Come on, man. Iron Eagle was better than both. I'm just saying
that, but I just don't care about the character. I think he's too much of a cocky asshole by the fact that
I'd rather play Afterburn than the Top Gun video game.
It was always difficult on the Top Gun video game to get extra gas. That's what the bitch of that game was. The rest of you could knock down jets like it was nobody's business. Missy says hi, Rich, and you're talking to at least a handful of Rocky people who experience that all the time. Fair. But so this is a big thing. This is your second movie from Cineverse, where you guys have, like, Gilda was the first one where you guys had a ton of festival heat.
Yeah.
That was
also the test. So this is actually like our, like, and we also had
I didn't mean to short shrift you. Yeah, you have 3. I'm sorry.
We also had another competition short that we did last year.
Fine,
that was
10. You have 10 movies, Rich. What do you want from me?
We got like 4 or 5 now. So at some point we're gonna have to do like an afternoon, like,
you have something
screening
where you do all of them. Yeah, I mean, you have to rent a theater and do all of them. You also have one called Reese's Pieces, which I thought I gave you a perfect side script for that movie. So there's a movie from Cineverse called Reese's Pieces, and I go, it's about a guy who has a bunch of, like, side action, like a bunch of women he's dangling.
It's not about that at all.
No, it's not.
This is actually something that we came up with last year. In between the passing of my mom and Natasha's stepfather, father-in-law, and actually, I think we actually shot it the day her father-in-law passed. But she wrote it. We had been talking a lot about grief and losing a parent and stuff like that. And that's what this.
I didn't mean to make fun. I feel bad now. I feel terrible that I made fun of it now.
Yeah, but she wrote it and I directed it.
Where were you last year when I was asking for short films? I I was putting short films up on drive-in movie screens before Rocky. Where were you?
Sorry.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. He was with me on Generation Movie, where you can find him every Monday night.
That's right.
Where we just a little cross promotion while we're here. We're in the middle of Bondathon, kids. James Bond will and has returned, and we're
Would that
doing
be a bondage song?
No, different. It's a different thing. Different. Totally different.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, you were talking
We
about
did
hose
Goldfinger
before.
last night. We're doing The Spy Who Loved Me next week. So a little Roger Moore, probably Roger Moore's best Bond. The introduction of Jaws.
Yeah.
You know,
and
gorgeous things.
We do have This Way to the Aggressor, one more festival, but that's at the end of May. It's the Block Island Film Festival in Rhode Island. We're scheduled in a shorts block that begins right as the last ferry to the mainland of the day leaves. So if you were planning on going, bear in mind you're going to have to stay overnight on the Block Island, and hotel rooms are going fast because I got the last one that's under $200. So
I just want to tell you, just so we're clear, inviting a bunch of people to a film festival where the last boat of the night leaves as the film
is rich bastards, come on out.
Sounds like a horror movie plot.
Well,
just so we're clear, it's like I invite all my friends and
I know what that
start
movie
dying.
Was. Oh,
it's more of a way for me to weed out, and find the people who have some real good, heavy wallets, and therefore start hitting them up for like funding for some of the bigger projects.
For the next movie, for the next movie.
Yeah.
Again, I think we could.
I thought it was Rich opening up a casting couch in his fucking hotel room, actually. But hey, whatever.
It could be. It could be. I'm going to write the next movie. It's called The Festival. It's about an up-and-coming filmmaker who writes a movie.
Wasn't it a Star Trek episode in the original series where they're all
we
about,
were talking before you came on. I'm sure you heard it, but we were talking about the concept of what are the most important or biggest franchises, right? And so somebody threw out a Game of Thrones versus Star Trek. Star Trek clearly wins that, right? I'm not crazy.
Game of Thrones versus Star Trek, yeah. By a long shot.
I think Star Trek and Star Wars win on a lot of things, and I was going just on spinoffs. I was, Star Trek has a Star Trek original, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Discovery, Picard, Enterprise. If
that is your metric, your rubric for determining a franchise's success by how many spinoffs, may I suggest then Ultraman, which has at least 25 to 30 different TV series, 3 different reboots,
get out of here!
a
You're drunk.
number of movies.
Well, I was talking to them. We were talking about Bond. I was talking about again. Sometimes I bring stuff to the show. I was talking about the idea that Goldfinger grossed $129 million in 1964. The concept that it cost $3 million to make and it grossed $129 million. And we were talking last night, Rich and I were talking about it. The movie made 40 times its budget. And there are 3 films we came up with, maybe. Paranormal Activity, Blair Witch Project, original Halloween. There aren't that many that have made 40 times their budget. Some comments. Let's see. Raven said, "I just said that out loud, JW. Perfect horror movie premise." Yeah, it sounds like a great movie. I want to write it with Rich now. Rich, any news out of CinemaCon? The big news I took, Rich, you had a couple things, but the one I took, I didn't really explain it. There is a Superman. It's called Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, which is a documentary that cost Warner Brothers about $15 million, and David Safran, Peter Safran, I should say, announced that they are going to release it to theaters. And I am a huge Christopher Reeve fan, and it deals with him. It has archival footage of him working out and becoming Superman costume fittings and all these things. And then
with his trainer David Prowse.
Yeah, with his trainer David Prowse, which is amazing. You know, the body of Vader. The body of Vader compels us. And then the interesting thing is the second part of the documentary is about how much work he did with people who were you know, paralyzed, and what a superstar he became in being a voice for people, you know, in getting, you know, ramps and getting things set up so that people could live their lives even after having a disheartening, you know, horrible accident that makes you live on a ventilator. And so I'm intrigued to see it. I've always been a Christopher Reeve fan.
It was a cool movie though, Above Suspicion, that he was in.
Above Suspicion is great. Suspect is great. Not Suspect. Above Suspicion.
Death Trap.
Death Trap. He was fantastic in.
Fantastic. And
Somewhere
if you
like
Knives Out, definitely check out Death Trap.
Somewhere in Time. Wow,
Somewhere in Time is fantastic. What's the one? Oh shit! What is the one with him and Morgan Freeman? Is that?
Crumbs.
I want to say it's Witness. Something Witness. What is it? It's him. He's playing, or he plays a reporter. Shit! Yeah. Hold on.
Totally blanking. Well, while you're thinking about that, let me hit some of the other news from CinemaCon that I've seen out of the last couple of hours.
Yes.
The new Crow movie and Saw have been pushed back into the fall. They're showing little bits of, you know, like some behind the scenes footage, like short bits of films from a lot of things. Because remember, CinemaCon is for the theater owners primarily. It's not a place where they do a lot of deep news dumps like New York Comic Con or San Diego Comic Con.
This is for people like, selling popcorn.
Yeah.
Street Smart, by the way, is the name of the movie.
Do things like the Joker teaser trailer drop. They screen a couple of movies there for the theater owners. The Fall Guy screened last night, and apparently that went over really, really well. A couple of years ago, they screened Ghostbusters Afterlife, you know, for the first time, and that went over really, really well. I'm not sure who else.
CinemaCon is a really interesting thing. As somebody that was part of, you know, as somebody who was part of like trying to figure out what was going to be a hit or what was not going to be a hit, those little snippets can get you a long way, and theater owners and exhibitors tend to know more. There's a great post going around online, Rich. It is, what movie can you just wipe off the face of the planet? I think we know what movie is Rich's pick.
No, I wouldn't say Top Gun. No. Top Gun's fine. It's well made. It's just not to my taste. I will say this, though. In that hypothetical, do people know that it's no longer available to be seen ever again? Like I Zaslav.
Oh, okay. You Zaslav? Yeah. Fucking Zaslav. I fucking hate him so much.
Then it's Zack Snyder's Justice League. Bye-bye. Only because...
that's not a bad idea, just because of the sheer vitriol that comes with it. The sheer... You know... Yeah, that's not fair. Okay, so wait. Missy.
I know it sounds petty and cheesy, but...
We like being petty and cheesy. Okay, to be honest with you, Game of Thrones and Star Wars can't go head-to-head and can't get put up against each other. One the TV show, one's a movie, no comparison, except for the fact that Star Wars has 4 shows.
Well, she said movie / TV, number 1. Number 2, Melissa, we were talking about Game of Thrones versus Star Trek originally.
It was Game of Thrones versus Star Trek originally, so that's why we're talking TV. But I would also say, like, if they made a Game of Thrones movie, I think Game of Thrones movie would do okay. I don't think it would do...
I think they both have the malleability. They both have an expansive world big enough that you can go through and set stories in different time periods in both of those franchises.
Although,
I would say Game of Thrones has a the
fantasy realm.
It has the potential to be like Star
they just
Wars.
Announced though. Kit Harington announced that the Jon Snow sequel is dead as a doornail.
And this is the second pilot that HBO has pulled the plug on, which is good because it means that they're really taking their time and really hoping and focusing in on quality.
Maybe. You have to take into consideration which has been around longer. Fair. That's a fair consideration for this. Definitely gonna have to look into it.
Ultraman has been around since just about when Star Trek came out.
You're going with Ultraman. That's
Yeah, okay. I'm still going with Ultraman. Even though I've not seen
Chris
all
Reeves
of it.
is in one of my favorite Tales from the Crypt episodes. There is a show that is desperately longing to be rebooted. And I don't know what the fight is about. I know that there was a DC Comics / the original owners of Tales from the Crypt, and that show's dying to be rebooted.
Like The Hitchhiker.
The Hitchhiker. Show. Another great show. But a lot of those shows aren't on HBO Max. Very hard to find old school, like First and 10 isn't on. Dream On isn't on.
Dream On is not on HBO Max. And I want to see Dream On again. I haven't seen it in like 20 years.
I want to see Dream On again. I didn't mind Arliss. I liked Arliss. I like base. I like agent stuff.
Martin Tupper. Dream On.
Dream On. But yeah, I mean, one of the things that came out, somebody knows how much I hate David Zaslav, and they send me their stock portfolio today where they have Warner Brothers as one of their stocks, and all of the shit that's come out today about Zaslav trying to sell has sent the stock careening into garbage land. So he is just a plague. But okay, Rich. So NEPA Film Festival, where can people find you online? Because they're on a different show tonight. More people.
I know. All of my writing is available at filmbuffonline.com. We also have a Facebook page. You can follow us there. Get alerts when we post new stuff up. Also on the Facebook page, you get some extra bonus stuff like on the state history posts and some late breaking news posts. I am on 2 other podcasts besides Generation Movies on Monday night, right here on this wonderful podcast network. The first is the Big Picture Podcast, which I do with my very best friend and co-host, Natasha Bogutsky. She's also my filmmaker.
She's a troublemaker.
She's a troublemaker.
Very funny. And very funny.
We have so much fun getting into trouble. Yes. You can find that on any podcatcher, or you can go to bigpicturepod.com and subscribe there. And I am also, as a member of the Philadelphia Film Critics Circle, a frequent guest on their podcast called The Film Scribes, which you can also find on just about any podcatcher of choice. And on socials, I can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at FilmBuffRich. I waited until I saw you start to speak, and then I cut you off. I'm sorry, man.
Just stick me in the chest. It's fine. Everything's fine. Okay, but thank you for coming on tonight. We have some business to attend to. We have a Twilight Zone Redux to do where, Kyle gets to sit for a couple minutes.
What was the episode tonight? I'm sorry.
The episode tonight is a fantastic episode. And When the Sky Opened is the name of the episode. And it was
good stuff.
Fucking phenomenal. Rod Taylor was in it. It was like, holy shit! The time machine and the Twilight Zone just kind of like coming together. But we're going to talk about that. And Jerry does his. We have I have new banners on here. I don't make as many for our show because it's basic. But look, you haven't been on in a while. Twilight Zone Redux. See, you're crossing the Twilight Zone Redux. And then it came from Jerry's basement. Because Jerry's basement, if you look right there at Jerry's basement, like the Thing posters to the right, he has all these old movies that, we look and we find different things. And we have one tonight. And that movie that we're going to talk about right now, as it came from Jerry's basement, boom, is a wonderful 70s movie called Logan's Run.
Jenny.
Yes, just beautiful. Oh my God, look at that.
Yes.
Look at the delicious box.
This is the MGM.
Look at that. Look at how pretty it is. It isn't opened?
It's not opened.
Dude, you know how crazy collectibles VHS is right now?
Yes, they are.
Okay. My God.
So I would look at maybe getting that slabbed.
But that's beautiful. Like, I remember like the MGM boxes. They were so nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
They were so beautiful. Like because they fit all together. It was like, it's not like now where everything's kind of like wonky and weird and metal cases and all kinds of weird shit. But thank you for joining us, Rich. Go away now. Have a good time and enjoy your film festival this week.
All right.
Stay out of trouble.
Kyle, Gary, it was good seeing you guys again.
See you, Rich.
Thanks for coming, Rich. Talk to you. I'll talk to you soon. We'll see you next week for Spy Who Loved Me. Bye. Mm-hmm. He's super knowledgeable.
Wow. Threw him out quick.
I didn't boot him out.
Saying goodbye.
Got stuff to do. That's fine. I'll bring him back. Rich, you didn't get a chance to say goodbye.
Whoa. Oh, you caught a meeting.
Kyle, you
what
caught
did
it.
You do, JW?
You ruined it.
You saw that in the green room, JW. That was you. You were like, oh, look, he's going. You can see what he's doing.
You stole fizzy lifting drink, Kyle. You caused this.
It was you.
It was you. Okay. Bye, Rich. Have a good night.
Have a great week, guys.
We should go back.
Actually, you want to finish speaking before you cut him off, JW?
Go ahead. Speak. Jesus, the guy wants to eat his dinner.
I am done.
What's for dinner, Rich?
I am done.
I had some wonderful chicken Alfredo with some steamed broccoli and stuff. Just casual evening dinner.
It sounds healthy and nice.
Oh, you can cut him off now, JW.
Now I can cut him off. Bye, Rich. See you next Monday.
Later.
Okay, so it came from Jerry's basement. We're going to talk a little bit about Logan's Run. It is a
steamed broccoli came from Jerry's basement.
It did, and it's not even fucking open. That's amazing. Jerry, why is this movie? So one of the things I should say is one of the great things about the late 70s, mid to late 70s, they hit, and even early 70s, actually the entire 70s, had a bunch of really interesting, thought-provoking sci-fi movies that we don't necessarily get. They're not necessarily franchisee movies. They're movies that have deep psychological themes or, and we don't really get them now. You know what I mean? Right. And so give everybody a brief idea of what Logan's Run is about.
So it's this society that exists and they overpopulate. So at the age of 30, they have to go through Last Day, which is basically they get killed. And Michael York is a Sandman who is, kind of like a policeman, I guess, that's in charge of making sure that people, attend Last Day. Well, he himself is turning 30. And, Jenny Agutter, if that's how you say her last name, I'm not.
Yeah, exactly. Jenny Agutter. People might also remember her from American Werewolf in London.
Yes. Well,
she's the nurse in
very
American
much
Werewolf
so. But she basically convinces him this is wrong. So now they go on the run together and they escape the city that's in this big bubble and they find the real world. And the special effects are awesome for that time.
Yeah, it's a really I was trying to think of other 70s deep 70s movies. Where can people find this to watch?
This is on Tubi. So
you're doing a lot from Tubi, where basically Tubi's for free.
That's why I'm saying everybody
you know what I mean?
Can find it because it's free.
They're uncut. You might have to watch some commercials, but for the most part, you're getting all these movies virtually uncut. Although the way Tubi cuts them, sometimes it's just who's doing this?
Well,
is it a drunk guy?
You can find it there. I mean, that's as free as you can get.
I can't.
You left?
Yeah.
He's gone. That would have been great. If you would have cut to him right now, he's like,
just with a big chunk of chicken. It's a great movie. I think of that movie. I think of Soylent Green. I think of the Omega Man. I think of all the really cool 70s movies where they had ridiculous rollerball.
Why wait till you're 30? Just snap your fingers and take out half the population.
Well, yes. Well, wait till you can. Well, not half the population, half the universe.
Cyborg fits in there too, movies like that, right?
Yeah, they're
the
really
population
good.
of the universe, buddy.
What's the one, Jerry? I was trying to remember. What's the one with the guy is it Silent Running?
Oh.
Where it's the guy on the spaceship where he's just basically has to tend to plants.
Oh,
and
it might be that.
I think it is. But these are all great movies. They're all movies that have Soylent Green, where Soylent Green is amazing.
Yeah, it
And
is.
there's an Edward G. Robinson performance. But this movie's really good, and they've tried to remake it at least 4 times since the original, and they could never do it. So let's get some questions. Damn, Rich thought it was safe to eat meatloaf. You know, just have to have some ketchup, I guess. It's a rather tender subject. And then Rich eating.
The
Yeah,
other white meat.
the other white meat. Yes.
Mothra.
So I will also say to you,
Is she acting feminine?
I will say to you that
Hey!
the last few. Okay, wait. Did we miss something? No. The last few. We're gonna get into Twilight Zone Redux now because we're almost done with the night. Twilight Zone Redux, episode 11. It aired on December 11th, 1959, and next week we will get one of our first Christmas Twilight Zone episodes, and I've never seen it, and I can't wait. This week's episode in the Twilight Zone Redux is a really great episode that I've never seen. It's called "And When the Sky Was Opened." Opening narration. Her name, X-20. Her type, an experimental interceptor. Recent history, a crash landing in the Mojave Desert after a 30-hour flight 900 miles into space. Incidental data, the ship with the men who flew her disappeared from the radar screen for 24 hours. Then they introduce a character, but the shrouds that cover mysteries are not always made out of tarpaulin, as the man will soon find out on the other side of a hospital door. And it's one of the great Twilight Zone moments. It's Rod Taylor holding his face and just looking at the number 15 on a patient room door before he goes in, and the break after he goes through the door and is talking to another one of the pilots. And you really don't think anything of this episode early.
Right.
And it just kind of like it layers stuff on, and the next, Rod Taylor sits down and is talking to Timothy Hutton's father, by the way, just so we're clear, because this guy looks so familiar, and you're like, why does he look so familiar? His name's Jim Hutton. He's Timothy Hutton's, the famous actor's father. And basically he sits down on the bed and they're talking about, what happened and all those different things. And he goes to a flashback. Of the day before when he left the hospital room. The hospital room now only has 2 beds in it, and he leaves the hospital room in this fantasy, in this world in his mind or whatever, and he's with another pilot. And the paper that they see at the bar is 3 pilots return home from experimental flight.
Right.
And the pilot and him are having a drink. They get hit on by the young ladies. The bartender takes care of them. The third pilot, I believe it's Eddington, is the name. Harrington. Ed Harrington.
Eddington Bear?
Yeah, Harrington, right.
Ed Harrington, the third pilot, not Rod Taylor, goes to make a phone call. When he does, he comes out of the phone booth crying and freaking out, and his friend comes over to comfort him, and what's wrong? And he basically says, I just called home to tell them I'm okay after the experimental flight, and my mother didn't know who I was.
Right.
Layer.
We didn't have any children.
We didn't have any children, is what my father said. And he says to Rod Taylor, what's happening to me? What's going on? And Rod Taylor playing Lieutenant Colonel Clegg Forbes, fantastic name, just so we're clear. Basically, watches, and then all of a sudden, Ed Harrington is not there. Mm-hmm. When he goes to look at the newspaper and asks the bartender and the girl that was sitting next to him, did you see my friend leave, or where's Ed? Where's my friend Ed at?
Who?
Go on. Layer. He picks up the newspaper. 2 pilots crash land in the Mojave and are saved. And it's just him and a picture of the Jim Hutton character who is in the hospital room, and his name is Major William Garsh. And so layers.
It keeps
And
going, right?
and he
It
keeps
takes even
going
more.
layer after layer after layer. He breaks back into the bar later and just wonders where Ed is. And then it finally cuts to the hospital room with Gart and him, and basically Gart says to him, I think, Colonel, I think you're having a breakdown. We need to get you some help. By the way, I do love how ridiculous that in the '60s it was cool to smoke, and it was super cool to smoke in a
Hey,
hospital.
you got another one of them right in the
Got another
hospital
one of
room.
them, and they're lighting
He's lighting a
cigarettes.
cigarette in the hospital bed.
It's ridiculous. But as the episode plays out, the layer goes, and basically Rod Taylor, who is a very good actor and had a huge, long, storied career in the film industry and television industry, has a breakdown in the hospital room, looks in the mirror and says, "Oh no, it's happening to me too." At which point he walks out the door.
He runs out the door.
He runs out the door. The door slams. The nurse comes in, and Gart goes to the door, and the pictures in this episode are ridiculous. Like, two spacemen returned from Crash Desert. Like, it's amazing. And here's Rod Taylor talking to Gart, Jim Hutton, who's Timothy Hutton's father, and here's him with Ed Harrington having a beer, and this is the picture at the near the end of the episode. Gart runs to the door, and the nurse comes in, and he says, "We have to help Colonel Forbes."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Who?
Oh, nurse.
Yeah. Who?
Who?" And he's like, "We need to help him. He
Not
just left.
thinking.
Do you know Colonel Forbes?" And the episode, it progresses out. He looks down at the newspaper in his hospital room, and it says, "One man survives space crash."
Yeah, it just
And
kept
then
building
it
and
goes
building.
back. It keeps in layer upon layer upon layer. He lays down in his bed. As he lays down in his bed, the nurse and a major are coming down the stairs, and he's like, "What about room 15? We have enough for 3 beds in room 15, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's completely empty. Everything's fine." And they go to the room and they open the doors, and there's nobody in it. Gart's disappeared. Forbes has disappeared. Eddington's disappeared. And then, they go to the shot of the experimental spacecraft that was sitting in like an aircraft carrier room, and the tarp is completely lying on the ground. And the end portion of the episode says, "Once upon a time, there was a man named Harrington, a man named Forbes, a man named Gart. They used to exist, but don't any longer. Someone or something took them somewhere. At least they're no longer a part of the memory of man. And as to the X-20 supposed to be housed here in this hangar, this too does not exist. And if any of you have any questions concerning an aircraft and 3 men who flew her, speak softly of them and only in the Twilight Zone." Fucking ridiculous. It's a great episode. It's as you're watching it, you don't actually know what's happening. And Jerry, did you get did you get the distinct impression it could be one of two things? Like, it's some higher purpose, maybe like a supreme being,
Yeah.
like a god. Like, don't overshoot your boundaries. Or is it? We never find out what it is.
My initial thought was that it was some sort of a dimensional thing.
Okay.
That's what
Like
I thought
they-
initially.
Like they ripped
Initially,
the hole.
one guy's in a different dimension, but as it kept going, it's like maybe these guys never existed. I don't know.
Well, I was thinking it was something where they were using an interceptor, an experimental model, and either an alien race saw what they were doing and basically phased them out so that nobody remembered them and took the experimental aircraft with them, or an act of an angry god basically saying, "Don't push the boundaries of space and time," because they disappear for 24 hours, and you always hear, I thought it was an alien story, but there's a moment where Rod Taylor's talking, he's like, it might not just be an alien race or something, it might be somebody took us. Somebody's taking us, or taking us back, or whatever. And I was just, the depth and quality of the writing, where it, like, so many questions, and I can't even imagine in '64 sitting down and watching the show and then being able, like, talking with your family about, like, what the fuck just happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because in 2024, we're still doing that. 60 years later, you and I and Kyle, who doesn't give a shit, but, you know, could theoretically have a question about it. What happened? You know what I mean? And I don't know if it's a god or if it's aliens.
It's the
or
Twilight Zone. Unanswered questions.
Unanswered questions. Now, I should point out that this episode is based on a short story called Disappearing Act by Richard Matheson. And let me explain for readers and people who love writing and reading. Richard Matheson is one of the great writers and adapted writers to film. His stories, this one's called Disappearing Act, but other stories that he wrote a little science fiction horror novel called I Am Legend, which has been made 3 times by Hollywood. Of course, I Am Legend, Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price, and The Omega Man with Charlton Heston. He also wrote 16 episodes of The Twilight Zone, including Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, Little Girl Lost, and Steel, and several adaptations of Edgar Allan Poe stories for Roger Corman, such as House of Usher, The Pit and Pendulum, Tales of Terror, and The Raven. He also his short story was adapted by Steven Spielberg, a television movie from 1971 called Duel, which is phenomenal.
Great.
He's just one of the great easily adaptable writers, and he wrote this one. It's just a really great, Rod Taylor and the director Douglas Hayes had such a good time working together. They later worked together on the TV series Bearcats, which was basically a Western television series that was in the 60s as well. It also has a continuity error that you can look at if you want to. When he's disappearing, you can actually see a piece of Rod Taylor. But it's a great episode. It was so good, and just I had no idea what was going on, Jerry.
I didn't either.
And just layer upon layer upon, like when the first astronaut disappeared. Yeah, and when the first astronaut disappeared, I'm like, oh, this isn't going well. But so next week's episode, for anybody who wants to watch with us, not Kyle. Next week's episode is, hold on, What You Need. And Rod Serling gave a little bit of preview about this one. It's the 12th episode of The Twilight Zone. It aired on Christmas Day in 1959. And it looks amazing. And it's about a street peddler who basically gives people exactly what they need for the holidays. So Rod Serling's playing with a bunch of gifts. I can't wait. And some of these episodes, having never seen them, Jerry, I feel like I'm getting.
I saw all of them, but I guess not.
Well, I think they run the best and the brightest during where this Twilight Zone fetish started for me was on my birthday watching the Twilight Zone, right? And now that I'm sitting down and watching all of these episodes, it's an incredible writing lesson. It's an incredible, the moment I get out of these episodes, I immediately kind of like want to see where the episodes trickle down, and like, who saw what.
It's a whole movie. It's a whole movie in a half hour.
Yeah, they're exceptionally well written. Yeah, and they're well acted, well written, well directed. The sets are like, they're basic, but they're so rich and vibrant. Even though it's like the one episode we saw about the robot, like the special effects were as good as stuff we see today. So, again, What You Need is the next episode.
That movie you were talking about earlier, my mom confirmed it. Silent Running.
Silent Running. There we go.
Yep. She left it in the comments.
Silent Running is the movie. You were right, JW. It's a great movie. It's just about a guy who's on a spaceship, and all his job is his only friends are a bunch of robots, and he has to take care of the plants. And I guess the ship starts to break down, so he has to start making sacrifices, which are just devastating. All right, I love Twilight Zone very, very much. I just don't understand why we didn't get the same passion for JW for Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who, but
it's not the same.
It's not the same. What I would say about Doctor Who, and this is as somebody who got into Who late and also very much has enjoyed the recent incarnations of it. Doctor Who is very all or nothing. There's something really nice about the Twilight Zone. Doctor Who is like, it's very much like being a fan for like Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever. You need the full, vast knowledge. And I'm sure we could talk about some Doctor Who, have somebody on who wants to talk about Doctor Who, sure. But I just think this is, for me, is easily digestible. They're one episode's 30 minutes. I'm not asking much of people.
Because they're all different.
Yeah, and it's just, and the writing is exceptional. Doctor Who varies in quality every once in a while. Sad but true.
Unless
all of them are great. Let's see. Right, and it's not that I don't like, it's almost like the same extent with Quantum Leap and Twilight Zone and Doctor Who. Those are all very much in line with each other. Yeah, they are. But the one thing about Twilight Zone is that the episodes are 30 minutes. They're compact. We're going to get the 60-minute episodes, but for the most part, it's a fully contained story in a half hour, and we get exciting things every week. And also, Doctor Who is distinctly British, and Doctor Who is also not necessarily, I would say people who wrote Doctor Who later in life very much were, in essence, watching a lot of Twilight Zone episodes.
Quantum Leap, that was a rip on the Voyagers. Yeah?
Quantum Leap was a rip on Voyagers. Quantum Leap was,
That was a great show.
There's a lot. It's a good
I
show,
love
and
that
even
show.
even the reboot is good. So, wait, let me see. Hold on.
Still going.
I don't watch all the Twilight Zone episodes, but this one was good. Yeah, I mean, Who, Leap, and Zone are all sci-fi, but they're very different. Yeah, it's not for me. For me, with regards to it's not that I don't have the same excitement about Doctor Who. I do. I've watched Doctor Who episodes with my little brother till late into the night before he was going home. Things where we watched a bunch of episodes. Like, it's not that. It's just that Twilight Zone for me is very much. It's like a shot of a different sci-fi or horror drug every week. And also,
they're all different.
They're all different. And when I watch them, I can just extrapolate out all the movies that are generated from this particular thing. Like, the movie I was thinking for this was like Species, right? Where you wouldn't think they're the same, but it's, again, about an astronaut that comes home.
That was a good movie, too. I like Species.
Species is a great movie. Has a ridiculous ending, though, because there's no way we could ever outpace the rats. If it ever got into a rat, we'd be fucked. Dude, you take out the commercials, Doctor Who is literally 43 minutes. I understand, but Doctor Who... Okay, so what season do you want to start with? Who are we starting with? What Doctor? You know what I mean? Like, there's vast chunks of Doctor Who that are very extensive, and the fandom is very extensive. Twilight Zone doesn't get nearly the amount of love it deserves. That's me. All of them are great. Whereas about the Poe movies, yeah, they're all fantastic. Corman Poe movies are great.
You got to go from Twilight Zone to Amazing Stories.
Maybe next year we get the 11th Doctor. It's very much American. I know. I know what you're saying. And I understand that. It's just, I think there's the long history of Doctor Who is where we get, like, it'd be too much to try to accomplish. Sliders. Good job, Tim McKernan. Let's see. Missy Rice, absolutely. There are just so many different directions that I can go in. Not to take away from it, but I think it does need to come to this day and era where it's revealing the people that are watching. Okay. I'm good. If we're going to talk Doctor Who, there are definitely ones that I completely fall in love with, and what others I watch to get through just see what the next thing is happening. We understand, but I feel like if we're going to be loud and narrow, we need to talk about everything. It's not that we don't talk about everything. Like, the next time the new Doctor premieres, we can certainly talk about it. I know I don't know if it's coming up for Christmas or whatever. I start with 9, but currently I'm on Doctor 11. Yeah. But, so if we start talking Doctor Who, Missy, who's to say we're not going to have to get in Doctors 1 through 8? Because maybe Jerry's going to want to talk about Tom, right?
Well, Tom Baker's the He was the best one, huh?
The original, right? The PBS. Yeah, the PBS Doctor. But it's
What was
just
the
one of those-
robot dog called again? I forget.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not that into who. I can name villains. I like
Robot
the
dog.
Daleks. I'm pro Dalek.
I love
think
that
they're
show.
right.
They had
Ooh,
a great
Sliders. I haven't
theme
thought about
song.
that show forever. Good show. Isn't streaming anywhere. It's not. It is not. K9.
K9, that's it.
There you go. Raven again. Raven and Ken going head to head. I want to get through 1 through 8. I keep thinking I'm told that I'm not ready for the Doctor 1 through 8. Now I also have arguments over Doctor 11. That's what I mean. Like Twilight Zone, I feel is something we can consume and kind of like marvel at a show that's so old but touches so many different things. But I appreciate everybody's. Sliders is on the Roku channel. If you have a Roku television, there you go. But that was a very good show. Sliders, Voyagers was what Jerry was talking about. That was one of the shows that was on Saturday morning. The great show. That person, he died accidentally with a firearm, much like Brandon Lee.
When the Omni is red, history is wrong.
Thanks, Ken. Ken is working hard. Okay, what do we got going on? You have a show coming up, Jerry. When's the show?
April 20th at the Moon Ballroom. Eclipse Fest.
420, Jerry?
Yep.
420, baby.
Eclipse Fest.
What are you guys doing?
There's 2 stages, 11 bands, 2 stages. We're on at 8:30.
So here's the question. Here's the thing. I said we're going to give away 2 tickets. You were okay with that, right?
Yep.
So we'll give away 2 tickets to... I'm going to ask a trivia question, a brief trivia question. And whoever answers the question on the Loud and Nerdy page with a giant post will get the tickets. How does that sound? Fair. Okay. So here is the question. And, you know, I'm going to say try to, hopefully you know it, but you might not know it. I want the 2 titles for Return of the Jedi, before Return of the Jedi. Super easy. There was a shooting title, and then there was an original title. And we want the 2 titles, and the first person who puts that up on the Loud and Nerdy page will get 2 tickets to Jerry's 420 Eclipse Fest. Okay?
Make
Fair?
sure you're going to go, though, people.
Yeah, if we're giving away the tickets, make sure you're going to go. I'm there the week after, Jerry. Yes, and Vicky, I know you're doing your Fairy Fest, I think is what it's called, right? Or Fairy Festival or Fairy. So we'll, maybe we can have you on in a week or so just to go over everything. Send me a flyer, send me a picture. It also coincides with the amazing things happening on the network. Are you creative? Have a new indie movie trailer or commercial? Email it to us. We'll play it on an upcoming show for free. Send it to the.indie.escape@gmail.com. Thank you for joining us. Lots of things this week. Civil War's on Friday. Going to be I'm very much going into this movie going, too soon? Too early? Too late? I don't know. But I love the director, and he makes great movies, and he asks difficult questions. He really makes great movies. So I'm very much looking forward to it. Last comments of the week. Here we go. For the Fairy Fest, folks, Mythica Fairy Market, Facebook.com events. Raven, Hansha, know the answer, but have plans on the 20th. But have a great show, Jerry.
Thank you.
Let's see. Cannot wait to see Civil War. I'm going Saturday. My son and my husband. Yes, Hunter's back this week. Correct. Excellent. Super excited for you guys. Hey guys, keep Peyton. Keep getting more. Yeah, keep going to the movies. I think that's great. Cindy writes, great podcast, guys. Thanks, Cindy. We appreciate you. Go to see movies. Go see lots of movies. Yeah, we're getting into the summer. We're gonna talk more about movies. I saw an interesting list that we're going to talk about next week. the most anticipated movies of the summer, and some things are not on it. So we're gonna get into that next week. Have a great week, folks. Enjoy. You got Fallout, you got Civil War, you got all kinds of things going on.